for several years out in the public. They were like, NBA stinks. I refuse to watch a league where they basically bought a dynasty. And I'm like, time out. Steph, Clay, and Draymond were drafted and developed. Draymond second round. People didn't like it. Detroit, a city that builds cars, has built a football team. 3 wins, 9 wins, 11, 14. I honestly think, and I was thinking about you this morning, if the Chiefs were to get beat, Detroit would be the team that you would be like, okay, good American story. You're a Midwesterner. It's sweat equity. They put the time in. Just imagine losing the Super Bowl. Because I think Detroit is speaking to the country. I just saw the rating for the game, Detroit and Minnesota. It was a bad game. The rating's insane. America loves this team. Do you love them?
Yes. Oh, I respect them. And I thought Dan Campbell was incredibly reckless last Monday playing his guys. But listen, the guy drew to an inside straight, and it worked out perfectly. He got out of that game, mostly healthy, and listen, they came out with their hair on fire in their biggest game of the year. They won. Now they get the bye, and you got to give credit. I love the fact that the Lions are who they are without apology when it comes to the aggressiveness offensively on the 4th downs. And I do like, to bring them up again, the fact that Aaron Glenn has recognized, you know what? Our defense isn't good enough because of the injuries to play you straight up.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring up the Chiefs the way the Chiefs, before they had good defensive players, won a Super Bowl in 2019, which is, it's going to be boom bust. We're going to sit in the house repeatedly, and maybe we'll get beat, but maybe we'll force a turnover, maybe we'll tip a pass, and that's how we're going to make up for a lack of talent on defense because the Lions, because they've suffered all those injuries. So I do have massive respect for what the Lions have done and how they have embodied their coach's culture. And I have respect for Brad Holmes, the GM, who said, I don't care that people are going to roll their eyes at a draft that goes running back, inside backer, tight end, safety, because those are devalued positions. I'm going to get the best or second best player in the draft at all 4 spots, and while everyone else is taking defensive end 7 and wide receiver 6, I'm going to get starters. So I truly respect all of that.
Same.
Do I like them? No, I don't like anyone but my team that's about to win the 3rd straight Super Bowl.
Okay. Funny. You don't respect them because every time you talk about the Lions, he takes out the doll hands, making fun of Jared Goff, says he's got issues with Dan Campbell, doesn't trust that they'll be able to win the Super Bowl, thought that if they lost against the Vikings, that they would be a first-round exit against the Rams or the Buccaneers. That's not respect. It's just not. It's just not. The Lions could have lost that game against the Vikings and would still be able to beat the Rams or the Bucs or, whoever else there was the potential to play. I think it was just those 2 teams, or I guess technically the Falcons. So no. And making fun of Jared Goff for what he's been able to do this whole season and how great and special he's been. Constantly being like, he's a civilian. Come on. And I do think people love the Lions. I think the Lions do speak to people. I think Dan Campbell does speak to people. I think the Detroit Lions are not a controversial team. And they have a lot of likable guys. Obviously, the team itself. As well as Hard Knocks. And considering what their history has been. Like, I made fun of it. I forget the broadcast. When they won their first playoff game. And I watched that game, and at the very end, I forget who was the commentator, but he was like, whatever your political ideology is, or your beliefs and your race and this or that, he's like, this is just a special moment. Everyone's coming together. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I knew it was a special moment, but like, which I was, even like, was like, this is awesome to see, because I understand fandom. But when he like kind of turned it into that whole other extra layer, I was like, oh, who cares, man? Why do we even got to mention that? But I do think it's accurate in a lot of ways. And I think the Lions do speak to the masses. They also just look cool, man. Their uniforms are cool. Their energy is cool. Like, it's one of those things, like when you're a little kid and you're rooting for a team, you don't really know why. Outside of rooting for your home team, you're picking a team that just like looks cool, sounds cool. Your favorite player is a player that you don't know anything about. You don't even actually know how good he is in the context of things. If you're a little kid and you're growing up and you're like, I like, this quarterback. And you're like, what are you actually basing it off of? Like, you don't actually know. You really don't. When you're 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, even, like, you don't actually know. You just don't. You don't have enough context. So you're just picking, like, who looks cool? Who sounds cool? What excites you? And the way the Lions play is exciting. It looks cool. It looks awesome. If you were going to make a movie about any team this season, who would it be about? It'd be about the Detroit Lions, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Not even the Kansas City Chiefs, because they're going for a three-peat. They're going to make a movie about a team that's like going for the three-peat. Like, no, they're not. People don't watch that. People don't root for that. It's not what it is. You don't do that. How many movies have we seen about a dominant, dynasty that, like, there you go. Usually it'll be like some sort of like autobiographical type biopic thing like that. But, only if there's real drama involved. I mean, how many, we've Hollywood is littered with so many, like rock star biography type movies and stuff, but it's always because of where things went wrong, right? Like where things really kind of got low. It's never about the person who just like had a great, beautiful career and they met their husband or wife when they were 23 and had a family of 3 and they went, they just kept making platinum records and that was it. And they're a good person in their community. It's always when things go terribly wrong. When they go bankrupt or get involved in this and that and this and that. And so, like, this is the Lions. The Lions are, like, the ultimate underdog story. The ultimate underdog story. And we know how much that city and state have been hurting for decades. So, I think it's an awesome story. They're easy to root for. When you watch them in Hard Knocks, Hard Knocks does a great job no matter who they're highlighting. I think they do a great job of showing you the players in a way that makes you want to root for them, that makes you like them. Even if it's a team that you're like, I don't like this team. Like, even watching someone like Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott was kind of charming. They're back and forth like years ago. And Mike McCarthy and the Arizona Cardinals when it was Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. I don't think it was on there really because I think he got injured. But again, like, that's how I was more introduced to this team was through Hard Knocks, without a doubt. And I remember Colin was ripping the Lions. That's all good, man. You think you're coming out so strong. They're not good. They're not good. And I was watching Hard Knocks and I was like, I really like these guys. I like this team. I was like, I obviously knew Goff better than any of the other guys out there, just because he's been around and obviously being a quarterback more of the face. But I was like, no, I like this. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Dan Campbell. I thought he was a little goofy. I'm not going to lie. I've been around coaches like that where I'm always like, yeah. Whatever you say. But like, no, I love it. It's awesome. It's easy to resonate with. I mean, you can compare it to your own life. I said this before, like Dan Campbell inspires me. The Detroit Lions inspires me. I try not to get too inspired by someone like a Jared Goff who got paid hundreds of millions of dollars, but then was sent to another team and they're like, oh, poor Jared. And it's like, the bro made gajillions of dollars, okay? Like even if it was an epic failure in Detroit, it doesn't matter. He was already rich. You can't even be mad at McVay because they're like, oh, how should Goff feel about McVay? And it's like, not that bad because McVay helped him become a gajillionaire. Even if he sent him on his way, I'll go work for someone. Colin Cowherd can go hire me, pay me tens of millions of dollars. Then if he says, I'm over you, goodbye, and then fires me, it's like, well, still thank you, bro. You still got me all this money. So it's like, I try to still put things into context, but it is still an awesome story. For him to be blamed for not being able to win a Super Bowl, he moves on. Well, they push him out. That team then wins a Super Bowl, which then like solidifies, see, you were the problem, even though I disagree with that. And then he goes to Detroit, which at that time was obviously not a great franchise. They got off to a slow start. And now they're the team that everybody wants to talk about. The Detroit Lions are consistently, regularly discussed in every single sports show on a daily basis. It obviously was not always like that. We are not sitting here making videos about the Carolina Panthers, about the Houston Texans, about the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Colts, the New York Giants, even the New York Giants, who have a massive fan base and is New York. Colin has maybe made, I don't even know, honestly, maybe like five clips, five like actual New York Giants segments in the entire season. There's like 10 segments on Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions every single week, let alone daily if you're going to combine all the shows. First Take, First Things First, The Herd, all of it. So yeah, this has been an amazing story, and it's been awesome. And it's since I am so integrated with the comments and stuff, like I see how passionate the fan base is. I see how much they care. I see how much this all matters to them. And you love to see it. You love to see it. So they're easy to root for. And it's one of those teams where if you weren't like a big fan, you're more of like a general fan, and you have to just kind of pick a team, like, who am I going to root for? That's who I've been for much of my life in terms of like, really into football and into sports as a whole. But like, I love entertainment. I'm here to kind of like all teams. That's why I focus on all the teams. It's why I make Lions videos and Vikings videos and Packers videos. Like, I don't just pick, like, well, I'm just going to pick the Lions. They're going to be my team in that division. Like, I don't do that. You have people do that, Nick. That's why he's all in on the Dallas Cowboys. But he was kind of forced to kind of like lean on the Eagles because they were, unavoidable. It's why he obviously loves the Chiefs. He's all in on the Chiefs, and that's why he won't give any credit to the Chargers, the Raiders or the Broncos or the Bills, the Ravens, or any other team for that matter. But it's like I like to kind of just be like, okay, let me take a look at all of these teams right now. And before I was making videos and felt that I obviously wanted to be as unbiased as I can, it would be like I'd pick random teams. Oh, you know who I really want to see win this year? One of the years it was the Kansas City Chiefs. I literally was like, I want the Chiefs over the 49ers. I want Mahomes to win a Super Bowl. I want Andy Reid to get his first Super Bowl. You just kind of pick and choose. When I will watch some of these games with my mom, again, especially before this channel, she'll be like, who are we rooting for? And I'll be like, oh, we're going to root for this team. And so the Lions are definitely going to be at the top of that list for people who are just like, I don't know, who should I root for this year? The Lions. It's like, it's easy. You know it. All right, great. And if you learn any more about their story, about their history, it only makes you want to root for them more. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? Do you think this team will win a Super Bowl? And do you think they deserve respect and love? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.